Here, I'll do it.
My 27.
There, go ahead.
My 27 male girlfriend, 22 no. My, as in him?
As in him, yeah.
Okay,
So
he's 27 male. His girlfriend, 22 female, of a year, slept with another guy while we were taking it slow a month into dating.
Oh, fuck. Did not mean and then, let's see. Read, after it says original post, read, I have been with this girl.
I have been with this girl I'll call Jess for close to a year now. Since specifics matter here, we started dating around last Thanksgiving, but it was only about a month later when we said we were in an official relationship. I really liked this girl from the get-go, and we've gotten really close since then, and we were actually planning on moving together soon. Here's a problem. Recently, Jess and I ran into a guy at a small get-together with mutual friends. They exchanged a weird look like there was something between them, but I didn't think too much of it at the time. During the party, something came up about the place Jess went to for a date. The time was clear, since it was a Christmas market in my town, and again I thought something was off about the guy. Well, later that night, I actually get a text from him. He got my number from one of the mutual friends, but said, hey, I don't know you, but I thought you should know that Jess and I hooked up right after Christmas. I confronted Jess about it, and I could tell she tensed up right away. She got this sad look on her face, but confessed right away. She said she had met this guy on Tinder and hooked up a couple of times, but stopped any contact before we became official. She said she wasn't sure we would get into a relationship at that time, but she still felt bad that I found out this way. She said she considered telling me, but was afraid it would ruin things between us. I told her I needed some time to think and proceeded to get drunk that night and ignored her texts. The thing is, I feel very betrayed, and I am really considering ending things. Sure, we weren't official when this happened, but we had already been on multiple dates at that time, and I thought it was pretty clear that we were moving towards a full-fledged relationship. On my side, I had no interest in pursuing other girls at that point because I only wanted to be with Jess. And on her end, she was definitely hitting at us evolving into a couple and strongly hinting at exclusivity. The other part that kills me is that during this stage, Jess specifically said she wanted to take things slow physically until we knew each other better. But during the same time, she hooks up with a guy she barely knew from Tinder. When I asked her this, she said it's different because she took it slow with me specifically because she thought we would get into a relationship, but it was somehow different with a casual hookup. That logic makes zero sense to me. I don't really want to talk about it with my friends because I think they would hate Jess if end up staying together. But I would like to hear opinions on here. Would you stay in a relationship like this if things were going well, but the beginning was so shady?
And then read the too long didn't read, just for a recap.
My girlfriend met up and hooked up with a guy while we were dating, but not official, while she was taking it slow with me.
Whew. Okay, so let's have the panel's reaction there. Do you think valid? Do you think, hey, look, they weren't official. She can do whatever she wants. Your position, starting with you.
I honestly think the whole thing's invalid. I don't even think he should be even thinking about it. If a relationship starts off that way, it's always going to be that way. So I don't even think he should have made the Reddit post. He should have just not even pursue her, talk about her,
think about her.
Yeah.
Okay.
End of things right away.
Okay. Your thoughts?
I think that both feelings are very valid. That being said, it really comes down to, do you see your life without this person? And if not, then, then you should be with them. And if you can't live without them, but if you can and you can't get past this, then of course you should break up with them.
Wait, both feelings valid?
Both feelings.
How were her feelings valid?
Because we only know it from his perspective. So we have to just take it at his word. At his word, exactly. So we don't know exactly what she was feeling and maybe why she didn't want to initially have sex with him versus having sex with this other guy. We don't know what the relationship between them are. So from just a solid outside perspective, I don't think any of that really matters. It matters how you feel about the person now. Did that taint it for you to the point that you can't be with her? And if the answer is yes, you shouldn't be with her.
I have to disagree. Only because if you like someone, you're not going to go sleep with someone else. You just aren't. And not to say, but how would you feel? And I'm not saying that they ever did. I never want to paint you like that. But, if your boyfriend, when you first started talking, if he were to sleep with another woman, wouldn't you look at him differently?
No, because I think I already knew when we got together, when we first met, that he had a very, he had way more sexual partners than I ever did. And it never really, maybe I felt a little insecure about it, but I feel like I just cared about him more than I cared about his past.
Well, sexual partners is fine, but if we're sitting here dating and talking and you go to sleep with someone, like, we're not dating. Like, we're not dating. You're dating other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I don't understand how the other side's valid, honestly. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is how you figured out that the woman's side is valid here. Like, clearly, you're dating a man, and she says, I could see this being exclusive, and so does he. That's where they're both moving towards. And then she's sleeping with another guy. That's an action that is contradictory to what it is that she's actually saying and doing.
She just straight up lied low-key.
I would say the same thing if the roles was switched. Until you say that you're official, you know, anything can happen. You can't necessarily, like, I'm not saying I would, but you can't be surprised, I guess.
But I mean, humans have expectations, right?
Before we weigh in, I would like to get everybody's...
Sure. I think communication is super important in any relationship. I think the fact that they didn't talk about, you know, whether they were exclusive or not, makes, in a way, her point a little valid. I mean, we don't know what happened on her side because she didn't write in. But in my opinion, I think that, you know, I don't think that she is to blame, and I would say that if it was reversed as well, but I do feel like the guy who wrote in, his opinions are super valid, and if it's something that he thinks hinders the relationship, or now he can't look at her a certain way, you know, then end things. But you need to talk about that before.
But didn't they say that they were taking things slow, so therefore didn't they talk about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, not that they're exclusive, but if you look at someone and say, hey, do you want to take things slow? I'm going to assume that we're taking things slow. You're not sleeping with other people, you know?
Right, but the key word there is assume. They didn't say that they were exclusive.
Oh,
so
I didn't see the assume part. My bad. That's on me.
And just to recap, she did say, he does say, sure, we weren't official when this happened, but we had already been on multiple dates at that time. And he says he thought it was pretty clear that we were moving towards a fully fledged relationship.
I think I learned the hard way. You can't just think or assume something in a relationship or non-relationship.
He did also write, and on her end, she was definitely hinting at us evolving into a couple and strongly hinting at exclusivity. Mind you, they were dating for a year. He doesn't really give much of a timeline, like...
But the inference here is the problem, right? So there's an inference here. We're moving towards exclusivity, and that inference must actually be there because her claim to him, she tensed up, she got upset, was, okay, well, hang on, wait a second. Okay, yes, it's technically we weren't exclusive, but obviously you had this expectation because I was giving you this expectation. Otherwise, she wouldn't be upset about it, right? What would she be upset about? She's upset because she was inferring that they were going to be exclusive.
Let's get everybody's reaction here. Go ahead.
About if her side is valid or not.
Sure.
I kind of agree with you. If there was an explicit communication of what those boundaries and expectations from the relationship was at the time of these actions occurring, I think it gets confusing. I can genuinely see both sides because it seems like there's some dishonesty on one side or the other. Truth is usually somewhere in the middle of where there was alluding to there being, I'm not seeing anybody else. It could have also been like a trauma response but you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to play. I know, right? Fuck everything.
But, okay, so I mean, we can have a debate over, you know, this component of were they exclusive or not.
I think it's up to him.
No, but the issue is if she had also been sleeping with him, it gives you a bit more leeway. But I think the bigger issue here is that she fucked this other dude.
Yeah.
But she told him, oh, I want to take it slow because I'm a good girl.
Yeah,
and
no,
I don't
that's
do
fucked.
that.
Yeah.
That's, I think.
So that's why I'm like, I think they communicated. Yeah. She said, I'm taking things slow, and she went and screwed.
Yeah, she lied, basically. Like, but your reaction.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, I guess, why wasn't he jumping to date her? But I guess it's because she said she wanted to take it slow. He didn't really say that he wanted to.
Well, I think take it slow physically.
Okay. So, yeah, I can see how, you know, where he's coming from. I can see.
Your reaction?
I feel like just because, she said she wanted to take it slow with him, she could really like him and just want to take things slow. And with the other guy, it didn't mean anything. So, and we were not exclusive. We didn't have that conversation saying, okay, we're exclusive. We're not going to date anyone. We didn't have that. It's very gray area. So I kind of agree with her side because nothing is solidified here. Everything is like kind of up in the air.
Not, I mean, but it's not though.
Well,
right? It's not. This is like, and I see this all the time on these panels, right? It literally just seems like it's excusing bad behavior. Clearly, from this guy's angle, he was moving towards this, and she was moving towards this, and they both seem to agree. Otherwise, she wouldn't get upset. That's one. And seemingly, the only way that you guys are able to quote validate this woman who's in the picture here is to essentially say, well, I disbelieve his story and there's another side. But it's like, just take the story at face value. Let's assume for a second it's true, that everything he's saying is true. Well, then how do you validate that?
Well, they never agreed to be exclusive. Yeah,
but so even granting, let's say it's not even considered.
Yeah, but he didn't agree that he would stay in a relationship with a girl who was like, for instance, let me just give you this scenario, right? If she had told him at the time, oh, and by the way, I just humped my Tinder date, don't you think that would have remarkably changed the situation of their dynamic? If she had actually been upfront with that. Oh, by the way, guy that I'm dating, I also happen to be banging a guy I met on Tinder. Don't you think that would completely change the dynamic?
I think so, but I feel like you can't really hold someone up to that standard. Of
course you can. Of course you can.
I feel like you can't if you're not dating. If you don't have to. Like, I could go on a date or be dating someone, talking to them, right? And where I can see things going, but I don't have to tell you that I just slept with somebody yesterday or last week. I mean, we never established that.
How's that not? That's totally despicable because it puts the person under false pretense. It's like, that's completely despicable behavior to be like, oh, and I'm also banging this guy. I'm just not going to tell you about. Like, it's totally despicable to do. Like, who would ever want that done to him? Would you ever want to date a guy who you were really into? And then he was like, oh, yeah, and by the way, you found out, 4 weeks in that he was banging some other chick? Like, who would ever want that?
I don't know if it's just me, but when I date, I just assume that the other person is also dating and possibly sleeping with other people. Correct. I might not be, but I just assume until we have a conversation. And I think what she did is not right by not telling him. But in my opinion, I think that also what she did wasn't wrong. She didn't have to tell him because they didn't discuss it.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though.
Guys
like with men.
Guys do this all the time.
Oh, go ahead, Andrew. You're good.
Yeah, well, I don't think that men generally are assuming that if they're going on multiple dates with a woman, she's dating anybody else. I think that that's generally a fair assumption to make. I don't see why it wouldn't be. And if you think it would change the way that the person would look at you, right? If you told them you were sleeping with somebody else, then at that point, I think you actually have an obligation to do so because then it's false pretenses. So if you think, if I told this person I'm sleeping with somebody else, and if they had that information, they would no longer want to date me or be with me. So I'm going to purposely withhold that information. Yes, that's totally despicable. That's completely despicable because it's just self-serving, right?
Your reaction, and then we'll have some back and forth here.
My reaction is that I think it should have been clearly established in the beginning. And I think that's where,
What should have?
That if they're sleeping with people or not, if they both were looking to be in a relationship or just establish if they wanted to be in a relationship, I feel like that's just like a valid known thing that people should know in a relationship.
I gotta ask this.
Whether you're sleeping with somebody or not in a relationship.
Let me ask you a question.